I'm Richard Bausch, and I'm a writer and a teacher.
And how do you define achievement?
Achievement for me, I think, is more, I think of it more in a daily kind of way. An achievement for me in a day is to have done my work and to have been basically a good citizen. And then whatever accumulates over time finally doesn't feel like it's my place to say whether or not anything has any real significance. I just do it. And I've so far been lucky enough to have people, book publishers and magazines, that keep letting me do it. My work is just to spend a couple to 4 hours writing every day, working on stories or novels. Right now I'm working on a book of stories. It's called Living in the Weather of the World.
Now tell me about growing up. You have an identical twin who is also a writer.
Yeah.
What was expected? What were the expectations placed on you guys growing up?
Well, there were 6 children. We were the second and third births. So what I remember growing up was the expectations were pretty much the same expectations everyone else had when we were younger, that we that we be polite, that we think about others, that we do our schoolwork, which we weren't terribly good at doing, but it was a very normal upbringing. We had a lot of fun in the house. We didn't have much in the way of we didn't have much money. I mean, at the start, we didn't even own a car until Bobby and I were 9. My sister Barbara was 11, but we didn't feel poor. We felt rich. I mean, when the money started coming in, my father switched jobs and started selling cars, and he's quite good at it.
What do you think your colleagues would say your greatest achievement is? And what do you think your greatest achievement is?
I think my colleagues might, maybe they'd say my greatest achievement is, I hope they'd say my greatest achievement is the people I've helped along the way, students, and helping them put together the writing program there. And I think that for me, my greatest achievement is the people that I've loved and raised. To me, that's something I take great pride in. And I'm an old man now. When you get to a certain age, you realize that some of the things you were going through life like a doubled up fist trying to do or get turn out to be rather like ashes in your mouth, because if you've done anything on the way there, that takes away from the real job, which is to be a good father and brother or sister, and raise your children to be the same, and provide, as Robert Frost says. I know some people who have had large portions, rather, what would I call it, glittering portions of the world's success, and they attest to the fact that it really doesn't do anything. It just makes it so it's better. You're better able to keep doing what you love to do, which is to write. And I think that most of the people I know, the good writers I know would say the same thing. You know, that the really important stuff, that the work is what you do because you love doing it and because you have a gift for it, but that the really important stuff is, it's just your work. The really important stuff is the living.
If you could tell my generation one thing, what would it be?
I think it would probably sound rather platitudinous, but I think it would just be, try to get this day's work done, whatever that work is, and give everything you've got to it, and then try to be able to then go back to your living and give that everything. Work, when you're doing, at least the work that I do, the writing that I do, is done in a solitude. It's not necessarily done in a silence, because I've taught myself to work in all sorts of different circumstances, but it is done in a solitude. And the living is done with, generally, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we have to do alone, but living generally is being among those you love, and being a good friend and neighbor, and enjoying it. I mean, I love being around people. I love hearing people tell stories. I love to tell them myself. I love to make people laugh, which I have a certain facility for, probably because I have a goofy face, but and so there are a separate thing. Work for me takes place in each day. I try to work a couple of hours that's devoted to that, and then this is when early in a draft, I guess. The time tends to get longer when I'm toward the end of something. I can end up working 4 and 5 hours. But that's a separate thing. And I kept it separate. In other words, I never allowed any interviews in the house or any of that stuff. Articles about me or publicity about me and all that stuff we kept separate. The kids, it was just Dad. Dad was Dad. And sometimes it was hard because they would have the idea that once you grew up, you just had to, you know, sit around and scribble, and everybody would let you alone. They find out they got to go out and scrabble a little bit. So I guess I'd just say, do your work, and you know, try to appreciate it. Try to appreciate being given the gift of being alive. It's a great gift.